Today I want to share with you guys how I got completely debt free, had my house paid for, no mortgage left at 36 years old. Come on, I'll tell you how I did it. It's getting cold out here, but it's a beautiful winter day in Michigan. This is our house that we bought in 2019. We paid cash for it. So this is our third house. So we got a little creative trying to get debt free. So we're gonna go inside and I'll explain to you how my husband and I did this, how we got our house paid for, no mortgage, no credit card debt. And I was 36 when we did that. I'm 41 now, so I've been meaning to make this video for a while. But it's never too late, right? So here we have 5 acres on our property. And this is the house. It's a beautiful old Victorian, about 3,500 square feet, plus an attic and basement, built in the late 1800s, but it's just gorgeous. Beautiful house. I just love the old houses, and this house is so well built, no major issues, and only 5. I think we're the 6th owner in all of that time, in 130 years. It's crazy. It's so pretty. Snow-covered trees. Here is the back of the house. A little back porch there. It's just a beautiful design. I just love these old houses, and they're just so well made. And here, over here on the brick, we found this carving from the original owner. I think it was his son, because the original owner was also Joseph Gams, but Joe Gams, 1908, I believe that was his son that lived here. Like I said, 5 acres. We've got a barn back there. Back behind that fence is a pool. We got a pool area. There's a chicken coop. More property in the back field. We have our RV parked here just on our little, our road. Kind of just a dirt road that goes to the back, but we moved it up front. We usually park it in the back field just because we're probably going to take off in February, go somewhere warmer, so we have it closer to being able to get out. But here's the view from the side of the property, and I'm not a fan of the cold, honestly. I'm originally from California, but this is just gorgeous. It's beautiful for sure. Okay, let's go into the basement and I will explain what we did, how we got our house paid for. We paid cash for it, and how we did that in only 8 years since we bought our first house. And like I said, completely debt free, no credit card debt or anything like that. Okay, back inside where it's nice and warm. So how did I become debt free at 36? And have my house completely paid for? Well, I'll give you the short story, the short version. So my mom, I remember her telling me about credit cards growing up. We didn't really learn a lot in school about finances or how to save for the future, how to stay out of debt, any of that stuff. I don't even know if they teach it now. It's been so long, but they should. You know, we should teach kids, teenagers, how to become an adult, how to balance the checkbook, and how to, well, we don't really use checkbooks anymore, but how to, you know, plan for the future, how to save, how to pay things off, not get into debt. But it seems like it's the opposite, and they're just pushing debt on all the young kids, the young adults, just making them feel like, oh, you know, it's good, it's going to help raise your credit score. Well, I can tell you now, I'm 41, and I don't care about a credit score. I'm not trying to borrow money anymore. I'm done with that. I wanted to get out of debt. I wanted to be done with that as soon as possible. And a while ago, we did look at maybe borrowing for like an investment property, and they said I had like 0 credit score. So it's not bad, but it's just nothing. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I guess we're not doing that. We're just going to save. And if there's something we want, then we pay for it. Just like we do with going on vacations or buying cars. We just pay cash. We don't get the best of everything, but we get what we need. And we're not stressed out because we don't owe anybody any money. So yeah, growing up, I remember listening to Dave Ramsey. My mom would have him on the radio. I remember hearing about how stupid it is to get in debt and, you know, student loans and all this stuff. And it's like a pet that you carry with you your whole life. And I didn't want that Fortunately, I did have some help. My grandparents left me some money and that helped pay for college. But even after college, I had my son so young, right out of high school, that it was so hard to make ends meet. It took me years to build up enough where I felt comfortable, like where I could go to the grocery store and buy whatever I want. I mean, it was hard, as a young adult, just struggling, like a lot of people do, which, it's just normal. But that makes you want to get better. That makes you want to work harder, I think. If everything's given to you, then you just take it for granted. You don't appreciate it as much. So I could see, both sides, because like I said, I was fortunate and I did have help. I did have help from my grandparents and help from other people along the way too, just with time and babysitting and all those things. But you just don't want to be, owe anybody. You don't want to rely on anyone, like have to worry about paying them back. It's just not a good thing, especially with family, friends. They say don't ever let anyone borrow money, anybody you care about, because it's going to cause tension in the relationship. So I met my husband. At that time, my son was about 6 years old, and we dated for a year. We talked about these things. We were, I don't know if I introduced him to Dave Ramsey. I think he heard of him also. So we were on that, mindset of, yeah, we're going to be debt free. That's the goal. He had a little bit of credit card debt. I think I had some at the time, maybe like $5,000 each or something, maybe less. But we didn't have any crazy major debts or anything. I think I had a car payment. That was the one thing. But that was normal back then. We all thought, oh, that's just normal. Everybody has a car payment. Well, I know now that that's not. And I haven't had a car payment in many years because we just, like I said, if we need a new car, we don't get like a brand new car, but we pay cash. We get something that's going to be reliable and last a while and get us through, however many years, hopefully. But we pay cash, so we don't have to worry about that payment. So when we got married, we knew we wanted to get out of debt, and we worked on that. We got that taken care of pretty quick. The credit cards paid off, and we bought our first house in 2010. Yeah, we got married in 2009. We bought our first house in 2010, and that's when, like, kind of after the crash of 2008, prices were still down, so it was great. We got, I think it was a bank-owned home at the time, and that was when we were still in California. So we got our first home in California. I'll put up a picture, and we paid $230,000 for this house. It was a really cool house. I think it was built in 1960 something. It was a tri-level, had a pool in the backyard. Really cool, had everything we needed, was in the area we liked. Wanted to be by for family and everything, so we were close by, and for our jobs, our careers at the time. So we paid $230,000 I have it 2009 written on here, but I think it was 2010 because we got married in 2009. Anyway, and then we sold the house. We decided that we wanted something a little different. We wanted more space. We kind of wanted to get out of the rat race of Southern California. We had a baby, and she was about 2 at the time that we decided we wanted to sell. We wanted a bigger yard for her to run around. And somehow we just started looking outside of our area, and we looked more north. And then, I knew people online that I was friends with that moved to Oregon. And I thought, wow, that's a beautiful, different area. I thought Portland looked like a cool, creative area to be in. We didn't want to be right in the city, but we looked surrounding Portland area, and somehow we found an area across the Columbia River in Washington, a little town called Camas, Washington. And we were looking there for a while, and I think it almost took 9 months, maybe close to a year, to find the right house. We flew up there a couple times, looked at houses, and they just weren't what we thought they were by looking at the pictures online. So anyway, it was more, I guess it was an upgrade for us. The first house was $230,000. The second house we paid $500,000 for, and it was a bank-owned, and it was worth a lot more than that. It was up in a private community up on the mountain, a gated community. It did have an HOA, which is something we kind of wanted to stay away from. But I felt like, oh, we were doing so good. Our businesses were doing well. We were making more. We can afford more, and we could at the time. So our mortgage went up, it like more than doubled. I think we were paying like $2,600 or something at the time. So our first house was a lot less. I think that we paid $1,100, even with insurance and taxes and everything, every month. So that was more manageable. That's why we were able to save money. So, we pushed it a little bit on the second house. We paid $500,000, but again, we could afford it. And that was in 2016. Yeah, so we sold our house in California for $405,000. So we bought it for $230,000 in 2010, sold it for $405,000 in 2016. So 6 years, it went up that much. So the second house we paid $500,000 for. We took some of the proceeds from the first house for the down payment. So the $500,000, 20% down was $100,000. So there's a good chunk of change there. We could have been a little better. We could have got something, that cost less. We didn't need that big fancy house, but I felt like I still had that mindset of, oh, I want the big house, and we worked so hard, we should have this, kind of, not necessarily to show off to people, but just for ourselves, feeling like, oh, this is what we earned, and we didn't really need that. We learned that pretty quick, and we ended up really not liking the area that much, and it is gloomy in Washington, so it's true what they say, it rains a lot, which I don't mind rain in California. My favorite season was winter because it just rained a little bit, quite a bit, and that was winter. But Washington, it was just a little too much. It was kind of dreary and depressing, but also after being there for about a year, I did get more into listening to Dave Ramsey, and like I said, our mortgage was higher, we were debt free, everything else except for the house, and I was getting inspired listening to him again, and I thought, we already moved once, we already moved away from our family, we moved somewhere new where we didn't know anybody. I got the idea that we could do it again and go somewhere else, but this time we could just pay cash for the next house. So at this time, the house that we bought in Washington, it was, we paid $500,000 for. The market went up pretty quick. I think a lot of Californians were going up more north, and the values just went up. And like I said, we were only there for like a year, almost a year and a half. And I was looking on Zillow, and I'm like, wow, the house is worth, like it said, $750 at the time. So I'm like, wow, it went up $250,000 in just, a year and a half. Wow. Then we thought, okay, we could sell it if we've lived there for almost 2 years. Let's wait till it's the 2-year mark and sell it, so we don't have to pay capital gains on the sale, because we were residents for 2 years. So after the 2-year mark, it was about October 2018, we decided to list it, and I think we put it for 700 and something thousand. I'm not sure what it was, but we got showings and things. But like I said, we were up on the mountain. We were kind of, it was 25 minutes from anything, so that location wouldn't work for a lot of people that had to go to work every day. We worked from home, so it was fine for us. But so we noticed that, yeah, people aren't, we're not getting offers. I think we got a low offer and we didn't take it, and we waited a little while. We ended up lowering the price. Anyway, it came down to, we got an offer for $650,000. So that's $100,000 more, oh sorry, $150,000 more than we paid for the house. We paid $500,000. So we paid $500,000. We got the offer for $650,000, and that was right at the end of 2018. And we took the offer, and at this time in between, I was looking for other houses. So like I said, the goal was to find a house that we can pay cash for. So with the proceeds from our current house, which we paid $500,000 for, we would take that and put it into another house. And we had some savings, so we thought, okay, depending on the house we find, we might have to use some of our savings, but that was the end goal, was to just pay cash and be done with the mortgage, once and for all. So I was looking online, I looked in different states. We thought, hey, we did it already, we can move again. And we were all up for it. Even my son, he was in high school at the time. My daughter, she was only 3, 4, and she'll go along with anything. But like I said, we were away from family already. Let's do it again, and this is going to benefit everyone. We're going to get out of debt. We're going to be completely debt free. It's going to be amazing. So I looked at different states. It took a while to narrow down. And I personally, I've always loved old houses. So that's kind of what I was looking for. But of course, I didn't want to get like a money pit. I wanted something that's, built good quality, no issues. We'll do inspections, all that. And somehow I found this house in Michigan. And we have never been to Michigan before. We had no desire to go to Michigan. But it just was a beautiful house, and I saw it was just on the market for like 10 days, and the price would work for us, that we could take the proceeds from the house sale and a little bit of our savings and just pay cash for this other house in Michigan. And that's what we ended up doing. So we put a contingent offer on the house in Michigan, depending on if our house sold, and then we would move. So that was the process of just waiting for everything to go through there. They accepted our offer here in Michigan, and everything went smooth. We ended up having to pay, I think it was like $40,000 of our own money toward the new house, the old new house in Michigan. And then we made it happen, and we moved across the country, and we bought our house outright. And I'll put a picture here of us standing in front of the house, holding the deed to the house. Now, this is something that I didn't think would be possible until I was maybe 60 or older, and I was 36 at the time. Now I'm 41, but it was just an amazing feeling. And I'll play our debt-free scream at the end of this video with my family, with my children and my husband. And it's just so amazing. And yes, we didn't follow the traditional route of how to get debt-free and pay off the house sooner. We could have done that. I think, you know, looking back, we could have stayed in California. I think we would have paid off the house, not as quick, like we wouldn't have been completely mortgage-free, but a lot faster than the 30 years, like the 30-year mortgage. Okay, so the house we ended up buying in Michigan, we paid $285,000 for, and that was in 2019. And this is the house I showed you in the beginning of the video. It's a beautiful house. You know, it's old, but it's good condition. And we have 5 acres. We have property. We have privacy. Now that this house is almost worth, excuse me. So now this house is almost worth $500,000, and that's been just 5 years. I think it's going to go up. It's a small town, but the area has been growing, especially since 2020. A lot of people wanted to get out of the cities. So that is where we're at as far as value. We're at almost $500,000 for this house. So I like to do shortcuts, I guess. I like to get things done quick. That's just always how I've been. If I have something I need to work on, I want to get it done, get it out of the way so I can go to the next thing. So that was my mindset with this, was like, hey, if we can do this, we'll be debt free. Then we can go into savings mode and just keep putting away for retirement, but also get to enjoy life more, get to travel more. And that's what we've done. Like, I'll show you some pictures here of places we've traveled around the world and around the country. And yes, we live away from family, but we can visit almost anytime we want. I mean, we still have to work. I work from home. Here's my sewing area. I'm down in my sewing studio. My husband does service work. He does tech, and he's also self-employed, so he can choose. He can take jobs as he wants to. He can counter offer, and he has more control too than like the average person that works for like a company. So anyway, that's how we did it. That's how we became completely debt free at 36 years old. No debt, no credit card debt, no student loans, nothing. House paid for at 36. Now my husband's a little older. He's 13 years older than me. You can calculate that if you want to, but it was just an amazing experience. And now we've been here almost 6 years. So 6 years without a mortgage. Like I said, been able to save more, just not worry as much, you know? And if something happens, we could just take care of it. If there's something that needs to be fixed, luckily we've had no major issues with this house. We do need to get like the roof repaired and stuff. And luckily my husband is very handy, and he's fixed a lot of things, woodwork and things that need to be done on the house. But nothing crazy, fingers crossed, you know. But we're just so thankful, and I believe in God, and I feel like God led us here, and I feel like if you open yourself up, there are endless possibilities. Just trust in God. I prayed about it, and this is what came to me. This is where God led us, and I showed you the outside in the beginning of the video. I don't love the winter. It is long winters in Michigan, but again, we have more freedom now, so we get to travel. We're leaving on Saturday. Today is Wednesday. We're leaving on Saturday to go to California for 2 weeks. Then we're coming back, and then we're going to Arizona in February. So we have more control. We get to do more. And we don't have to worry about it as much about, oh, can we spend this? You just still have to be smart. You know, you don't want to just blow money everywhere you go. We are still frugal. Like I said, we buy used cars, you know. I buy used clothes. I like vintage. I go to the Goodwill. I don't, you know, sometimes I splurge on a vintage, you know, outfit or something. But anyway, so that's how we did it. And it's not the traditional route. It's not even Dave Ramsey's, you know, path of doing all the baby steps. We didn't really follow all of that in order. We did pay off the credit cards and all that and got completely debt free except for the house. So we followed it like to that extent, but we weren't like super strict. We're only eating beans and rice. No, we would go out to eat here and there, but we knew our income was good, that we were able to do that. And we ultimately knew the end goal. So I think that's something you have to keep in mind. What is the end goal? What do you want to reach? Do you want to be debt free? Are you okay with, you know, some people just don't even buy a house. They have an apartment or they rent, and they can save by doing that, because they don't have to worry about the property taxes and the fixing of everything. And the lesson I've learned was that freedom is so much more valuable than money, and having control over your life just gives you so much, you just feel so good about it. So that's what we did, and that's how we became debt free. So thank you guys for watching. Leave any questions in the comments. I'll answer anything. And I just want to inspire others to follow their dreams and live the life that they love and that they're happy with. So thank you guys. Peace. 3, 2, 1.
We're debt free!